All right. Trip is already. Me and him went through half this video already. It's a stupid video. It's basically rage bait. Richie tomorrow. Review Tech USA. Who thought? Again, I tried at first to be like, oh, this is gonna be. When I first used your video and I found out, oh, you changed your channel, and I'm like, I didn't. For cold videos make sense. I was like, yeah, but sometimes not everybody makes sense of everything. So let's just get it over it. And this is the thing. This is what other YouTubers do, so it makes no sense. Nintendo software sales is shockingly poor. That's what he used. Hashtag it in there and stuff, so he could get views. Because again, this is Rich's full job. He don't do nothing else. So let's go with the BS. Because we already know any Switch 2 games is not is selling. It's the whole key cards and stuff like that. And then he's gonna bring up something too. Let's just go to video. Go to video.
Bob Lavery. Bob Lavery. Bob Lavery. Bob,
just look at it as I stretch it.
Hey everyone, do you like my smooth, sultry voice? I bet you do.
No.
You should check out my ASMR channel called Tech25 ASMR. There's a top pin comment.
What the hell? How much channels do you got? What the frig?
And the link to that channel
Okay.
is in. Glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear there are still people amped for new console hardware. That means that consoles aren't going away just yet. People are loving Mario Kart World, and people are also liking how original Switch games are running on the Switch 2. You're getting better performance, better visuals. If you like retro boomer shooters, try out Proteus on the Switch 2. It has an unlocked frame rate. It was originally released on the Switch 1. And on Switch 2, it's pretty much a solid 60 now, where the frame rate was all over the place on the Switch 1. Really sweet experience, really smooth gameplay now. So if you haven't tried Proteus anywhere else, get it on the Switch. It's not an expensive title, and it's super fun, especially now with a smooth frame rate. But of course, you would assume with a wildly successful console launch that games are just flying off the shelves. Doesn't matter if it's first-party games or third-party games, right? Right?
Yes.
Running a small family business out here.
Right? Right? No. Third-party games are, minus some exceptions, a couple exceptions, are not selling great on the Switch 2. This comes from...
No shit. And you want to know why third-party games don't sell on Nintendo Switch? Reason one, most Nintendo fans buy Nintendo games. That's why their games don't drop down their prices and everything. One. Number two, at least Nintendo put a lot of effort, not all the time. Again, Pokemon, couple stuff, not all the time. Okay, but that's Game Freak related. I would say Coconut Company and Game Freak, but not all the time. They put every effort they need to do because I was rushed. But majority of the time, they put the efforts in the games to make the game run as best as they can. Again, Zelda, Echo Wisdom, it got rushed out. It plays better on the Switch too. And Link's Awakening the same way, and Mario Brothership as well too, which I gotta finish that game. I'm a regular Switch 1 though, but I gotta finish that game. That's, we play game, at least that part, most of the games run very well. Mario Kart World, I have no hiccups so far, and the games I've been playing play very nice, no hiccups as well too. 3. Families, excuse me on that one, but families, when they buy Nintendo to play games and showware, so they don't really care. Nintendo fans, like me, Katie, Switch, Addison, Kenoshi, and most of you guys today, we buy we buy Nintendo games first. Now, we buy third-party games. Don't get it twisted. Most of my gaming library in that closet that y'all always see, some third-party games. Some. Does it have an EA game in there? No. I don't think I have an EA game in my closet. in the 150 games I have. Do I have Ubisoft games? Yes. I do have Ubisoft game. I don't think I have Activision. I know I have a Square. I know I have a couple Capcoms. But those are, like I said, but I don't have that. Ninja Gaiden, Koei Tecmo. Yeah. I have those games. And of course, majority. That situation. But I don't buy the Call Activision and all that other stuff. That's not my repertoire, and that's a lot of gamers' repertoire either. And number four, those same people, we buy indies. We'll buy a Hades 2. We'll buy a what was it again? Silk Song. We'll buy a what is it? I forgot. I forgot again. It came out. Bosco, whatever. It just came out right now. That looks pretty cool. Or Sakura Race or Ruins, or Rage, Fits of Rage, and stuff like. We'll buy indie games because yes, they're digital. We're not gonna say it's gonna be it's not gonna be physical all the time, but we'll buy a lot of indie games because at least that we could respect that and we could give them more money. Third party, really, Pate? Fuck them. I don't care. If I feel enough, I might buy it on my PlayStation 5, but that's if I have that much respect to even buy it on the PlayStation 5. So on my PlayStation 5, I have Bandai Namco, Square Enix. I don't ever go Square Enix. I think that's about it. Yeah. And of course, Sony Games. That's it. I don't have really nothing on there that's, again, no EA, no Activision, or Microsoft, or Bethesda. None of them. Hell no.
From GamesBusiness.com. 62% of Switch 2 physical game sales in the U.S. launch week were from first-party games, excluding the Mario Kart World Bundle.
No shit. Proving my point.
48% of Switch 2 physical game sales in the UK launch week were from first-party games, excluding the Mario Kart World Bundle.
There you go again.
86% of Switch 2 physical game sales in the UK launch week were from first-party games, including the Mario Kart World Bundle.
Because people buy Nintendo games. You can say, hell, all about the console is not good, great, whatever, don't buy it. You know my stance. I don't care you buy a Switch 2 or not. But we want the games. That's all it is.
By comparison, for the launch of the Switch 1, which didn't have as many third-party games at launch, 89% of UK physical game sales were from first-party games. Again, that's for the original Switch.
Yes. Yeah.
And for the launch month of Switch 1 in the US, 81% of US physical game sales were from first-party games. I believe that, especially because I remember it was slim pickings with the original Switch around launch time. CD Projekt's Cyberpunk 2077 was the best-selling third-party game during the launch of Switch 2, beating launch sales of CD Projekt's The Witcher 3 on Switch 1. Sega was the number 3 biggest publisher on Switch 2 at launch. When it comes to games released both physically and digitally, over 80% of Switch 2 game sales came from physical retailers, data shared by publishers. So I could see maybe why key cards are maybe something that's a little more relevant with people being annoyed with the Switch 2, because it seems that people, at least with Switch consoles, are more inclined to buy physical copies of games. One third-party publisher that they chose to remain nameless, that the low sales of their game released on the sold so poor.
And that's the one that's everybody's talking about. That's the part they talk about. They're using that. That's all good. I got a question. What's the publisher? If You put out a quote of, oh, it's so worse than we thought. Well, I need to know what the publisher and what the game is. If it was a shitty publisher and a shitty game, yeah, you should not. Are you surprised?
Below our lowest estimates. And another publisher said that their game sold, let's just be generous now, about 100 copies on the Switch.
What are the publishers? You saying it. I need to know who are the publishers? What is the game? If it was Bravely Default, then say it. So I know Square, Bravely Default, you say that, okay, that's kind of suck. Is it? But if it's like EA and something else, you're like, oh, who the fuck wanted that game? Nobody wanted that piece of shit. Tell us what it is.
I'm not screwing up that number. 100.
I don't care the number.
1,000.
It's
not
irrelevant.
10,000 units sold.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I need to know what the game is.
Not 1,000. Not 10,000.
I don't care. Just without telling me what the game is and what it is, nobody cares. You gotta tell me what it is.
Units sold 100.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane. That's even if no one's interested in the game, or even if it's something that was ported from, it's a port from a game that was released years ago.
Yeah.
You have the best console launch of all time.
Yes.
And a game is selling 100 units.
Yeah. Well, I got to list off a lot of games in the last couple of years that everybody thought it was gonna be the best shit ever. Concord, that didn't work out pretty good. Suicide Squad, that didn't work out pretty good either. So, switch. There's shitty games out there. There are good games, there's shitty games. There are average games, and there's blah games. I'm not surprised by that. I need to, like I said, without that information, what you're saying is irrelevant. And it's just clickbait and rage baiting.
And I have no words for that. That's unreal. So we could speculate as to reasons this could be. The first reason is a lot of these ports are from games that were released years ago.
Yes.
And you could have bought them on a ton of different platforms over those years.
Yeah, and maybe we didn't want to buy those games. Maybe we didn't want to buy the platform for that one game. I would never tell anybody to buy a Nintendo Switch for one game. To me, a lot of people done it with Breath of the Wild and stuff like that. I think that's kind of crazy. I ain't say it's stupid. I said that's kind of crazy. But if you want to buy a platform to play one game, like people gonna do like for Grand Theft Auto, good for you. It's your money. You do what you want to do with it. I would never do that though. And yes, I have bought games that's been out for a while on my Switch game and enjoyed it, Rich, because of the portable ability, and maybe just because it's in my repertoire of games that I normally play. If it's a console I play the most, yeah, I'll buy for that.
I believe in Street Fighter 6. I'm looking now. I just wanted to double check. It was released in June 2nd, 2023. Think about that.
Yeah, and the price is this, and the one that's on the Switch is the same price as every other console. I checked it out.
It's over 2 years old.
Yes.
So if you really wanted to play Street Fighter 6, you could play that on your PC, your PS5, your Xbox Series consoles. You could play it on your,
and it's the same price.
Steam Deck. Oh no, I'm saying that's forbidden to say in a video where I'm talking about the Switch 2. Or on your ROG Ally or GPD Win, the same names I always bring up. So if you wanted to play that, even if it's a great version of the game, you would have done it already.
No, you won't, you idiot. If it's a great version of the game, you're going to go for the greatest version of the game. That's just what it is. I could have bought, what was it, Dragon Quest 11 on the Switch. I could have bought it on Dragon Quest 11 on the Switch. And I felt like, but I bought Dragon Quest 11 for the PlayStation 5. I gotta see a big difference for me to think. And the Switch version ain't that bad either. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, be a customer instead of a consumer.
On many different platforms. So
It's the
even if
same
you're
price.
truly excited for the Switch 2,
Yeah.
you're like, why do I need another copy of Street Fighter 6?
Because we never bought the Street Fighter 6. My sister never bought the Street Fighter 6, so she bought the key card, Street Fighter 6, day one, with us Nintendo Switch 2.
Like, it just explain it to me why I need it. And here is the one
just did.
I always hear from people who white knight for Nintendo
Okay,
when I've
I'm a
talked to
white
them
knight.
on
Let's
live
go.
streams. And, oh, rich people only buy Nintendo consoles for first-party games.
Yes, Rich. But here's how stupid you just sound. Literally stupid saying what you're gonna say, and you're gonna go further down into this. You just released the sales number of what games sold on the Switch just a while ago. Didn't you not? 80%, 70%, all that stuff of Nintendo's first party games sold on the Switch. Does that not prove the fucking point? Does that not prove the point? You literally just list off numbers proving your point. Mute that you're gonna bring up right now. Kind of you're gonna say, loss of brain cells, loss of brain cells.
And to that I say, you must be a lot younger than me, because that
Nope.
was not the case. It wasn't the case with the NES. There was that's when third-party developers really flourished.
Yes.
It wasn't the case with the Super Nintendo. Yes, the Super Nintendo sold less than the NES, but that's because they had really hard competition
Good
from
competition.
Sega with the Genesis.
Yep.
And even in the end, they still outsold the Sega
And as a
Genesis.
third
If there
parties
was
was
no
good.
Sega Genesis, I believe the sales of the SNES would have been even larger than they were for the NES. There would have
Yeah.
been a much bigger install base.
Listen,
The N64, the only reason it didn't have the same amount of third-party support is because Nintendo lost their minds and went with cartridges. The GameCube, they
They did their own thing. God forbid you go your own way to do whatever. And look how much people was looking for GameCube games. You're gonna talk about, and how much people like, oh, 64 is now on the thing. Oh my God, blah blah blah. I can play this game, that game, this game, that game. Stop it, stop it.
I mean, if you think about it, Resident Evil 4 was, at least at the time, a GameCube exclusive.
Yep.
They were working with Capcom. Does
Yep.
that sound like Nintendo is not looking to work with third parties?
No, they made a deal with Capcom, and Capcom stabbed them in the fucking back in that time. That's what it was. It's Rich. See, I don't like how you don't bring up the full details of that shit. That's annoying.
The GameCube, its biggest issue was it didn't do the same with online that the original Xbox did,
Didn't
and
care.
even the original PlayStation did. PlayStation, it was
The Xbox came after the GameCube, and nothing's wrong with that. People wanted Xbox. I'm not knocking the Xbox for nothing when I'm saying it, but it came after the GameCube, and they did a better job of in bringing it online. That is for sure. I give Microsoft Xbox that props and kudos for that all day. PlayStation 2. I had a PlayStation 2. The internet was not the best or whatever, just like the Dreamcast. It wasn't that either. So don't start that bullshit, Rich. Please remember what's going on in those days.
more of an afterthought than it
That
was with the
revisionist
Xbox.
history y'all like
but
to do.
nonetheless, it still had online capabilities. The
Barely.
GameCube did as well, but there was only
Again,
a handful of
barely.
games at most that utilized
Didn't
online
care for it.
capabilities for that. So you had the smaller discs, which Nintendo went with because it was tougher to pirate, but for
Yes.
developers, there
Which
was less
third-party
space to
asked
put their
for.
games on there compared to DVDs. But Nintendo, even then, was still trying to push third party. The Wii had a ton of third party support,
And shovelware.
but there was a lot of shovelware too. Are you seeing what I'm saying here?
No, we don't see what you're saying. Cause again, you made your point. And if you want to say we, let's go back a little bit. The only reason people put shovelware and third party came towards the Wii because it became a phenomenon. By what by what Nintendo games were. Do you see what I'm seeing here, fat boy?
Third party's been a thing. Wii U, even though it was a complete bomb, at least when Nintendo introduced it, remember they had that sizzle reel of all the third party games coming?
And then they came back and did the exact same thing and stabbed them in the back. Again. That's why when the Switch came out, Nintendo said, fuck all y'all. We're going to put out our own games. And again, they did something that no other console, the Switch has done something that no other consoles come give out. They released 9 games in the first year of the Nintendo Switch. And within a year, all of them sold 1 million. No other gaming console ever done that. Ever. Switch 2 ain't going to do that. Because they ain't got 9 games coming out this year. But the Switch 1 did. No console's going to ever do that. Ever. There ain't gonna be a Grand Theft Auto is not a console exclusive, so there's no they're gonna have a console that has a attach rate that's higher than 100% with a console with a game, more than a console, which was Breath of the Wild. Rich. Most people who bought Breath of the Switch wanted to play Breath of the Wild. I mean, I was handed it from Nintendo, so I can't say nothing. I didn't buy the Switch until later on, but hey.
Into the Wii U, where was this thing that Nintendo wasn't looking to court third parties? Like, where did this whole nonsense?
Nobody said Nintendo didn't court third parties, but they needed to be leery of third parties because they always stab them in the back.
It's come from that Nintendo wasn't at least trying to court third-party games for their consoles. It makes zero sense, and history says otherwise. And
Not
if
really.
the statistics
You're
are
right.
accurate,
History showed that
and
we got
people
stabbed
are
in the back a lot
buying
of times.
a bunch of physical games for their Switch, even when many other platforms, people who buy games on them, are going towards digital distribution.
Exactly.
Let's face it, people think that the game key cards
Suck ass.
they look at them as useless pieces.
They suck ass compared to what? The PlayStation's key card, PlayStation 4's key card, Xbox One key card, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, Series S key card, PlayStation 5 key card.
Pieces of plastic, and they're like, all right, I'm just not going to buy that game then. I think.
Again, can I answer the question? Because all those are key cards or key disc.
And I know there are a lot of Nintendo fans that aren't going to want to hear this, and they're going to bring up Steam Deck sales numbers as opposed to Switch 2 or Switch 1 sales numbers.
Yeah.
But you're missing the point.
What's the point?
It's not that I expect the Steam Deck to sell as much as the Switch 1 or Switch 2.
Okay.
But in the beginning, when the Switch 1 first came out, seeing games like The Witcher 3, like Doom 2016, like Doom Eternal, like Zombie Army 4, Dead War, seeing these games on a handheld tablet platform was unheard of in 2017. Not that those games came out in 2017. Well, actually, Doom 2016 did come out in 2017 for the Switch, but you get my point, okay? At that time, we didn't have Switch-like consoles like the Steam Deck and other pieces of hardware. I know I've given this spiel before, but it needs to be said again.
Go ahead.
Where we could play AAA games like Elden Ring anywhere that we want to. Elden Ring is coming to the Switch. I hope, please God, let that sell well. I don't think it will because it's been out for so long now, but I hope it does. But you didn't have other options minus the Switch to really do that. In 2025, you have a plethora of options.
Yeah.
And people who may have either picked up a Switch back in the day to play AAA games, they didn't have an option to play anywhere else except on the Switch, or if they had it on their PS4, Xbox One, or PC at the time, picked up a Switch to play those games.
Yeah.
Now in 2025, even if you bought a Switch, you're like, why am I going to get Street Fighter 6 for the Switch 2? When I could,
because it's the same game on all the consoles, the same price, and you have if Switch is your main console, that's where you'll buy. That's logical thinking, fat boy.
just play it on my Steam Deck or play it a billion other ways. It isn't the same market that it was in 2017.
No shit.
Nintendo ushered in this like hybrid console or this market where you could play AAA games that are the same games on the go, unlike when you had the 3DS and the Vita and the PSP. But now they have competitors. And even if those competitors aren't doing the same numbers as the Switch and Switch 2 are,
they don't.
people are like, I don't need to wait for a port of this AAA third-party game to come to the Switch 2.
That's for people who want AAA third-party games. Yes. Go to your Ally Rogue, go to your Steam, go to the stuff, and get them cheaper. You'll get the games cheaper than you will get on a Switch, that's for sure. Sometimes you get sales on the Switch too, but you go cheaper, and you get your library, and you get your digital game, and you enjoy your game. Because that's what it is. I would not tell you buy those AAA, whatever that is, third-party games on the Nintendo Switch 2 unless you want to, but it's still a digital game you'll get. You ain't gonna own it, so whatever.
You could play it a whole bunch of different ways. And in 2017, I couldn't do that. Now I can, so I don't need to wait for it for the Switch 2. And if it comes out for the Switch 2, I already played it, so I'm not going to buy it again. My major concern with this, and I'll close out the video with this statement, is if this continues where third-party games don't sell on the Switch 2, even with huge numbers, we may not see those third-party games on the Nintendo Switch 2. And third-party developers.
Oh my God! Let me clutch my pearls. Oh my God! We won't have Assassin's Creed on the Nintendo Switch 2. Oh my God! We won't have Battlefield on the Nintendo Switch 2 from EA or FIFA. Oh my God! I'm clutching my pearls. TOK. Oh my God! I can't believe it. What would I do without those games that I don't give a flying fuck about? I care about Nintendo games. That's all I play my console for. And again, the indies and a few third parties that makes it Marvelous, Falcom, Square, Capcom, those certain things. Yeah, and the indies. Other than that, don't give a care. Those are the ones I just listed off. Bethesda, don't care.
Even if the Switch 2 has a huge install base, maybe like, look, if we come out or port one of our games over to the Switch 2, no matter how big its install base is, and we could barely move 100 units of the game we ported over and put a bunch of time and development into, no thank you. It doesn't matter how successful the console is. We need to still sell copies of our game to make money on the Switch 2.
True, I give you that.
So time will tell with that. Look, initially, once again, a lot of these games that were third-party AAA games that launched with the Switch 2, a lot of them are ports from games that were out for a couple of years. So I don't think we could judge yet, but this is still concerning nonetheless, because as much as I'm looking at my ROG Ally right now, as much as I have other options to play games other than the Switch 2 on the go, I still would like to see awesome ports on the Switch 2 of AAA games. I want to see Call of Duties come to the Switch 2, which I do think is going to happen. I want to see other games. I want to see developers feel inclined, because they will make money putting their games on the Switch 2.
Indies and good third parties.
I want to see them sell, so we see more of that, and we see a huge ecosystem on the Switch 2, and not just everyone chomping at the bit for first-party games. But only time will tell.
That's what always sold for Nintendo. That's how they make their money.
Robust library that we had on the Switch 1 from both third and first party developers. This is Rich of Rich Tomorrow signing out. Make sure you sub to my ASMR channel, link below.
How about you shut up, fat boy? Again, there you go. You use that Nintendo Switch software sales are shockingly poor. No, you mean third parties. That's what it is. That is so disingenuous, and I am not surprised by this bullshit at all. LBC, right there in the head. I would call it that because of what you're doing. You're misingenuous, you bastard. But am I surprised by most YouTubers? Not really. No, I'm not. Not at all. Anyway, There's no perfect games out there, guys. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy games on all consoles, including PC. Peace out.